True beauty, inner character vs outer looks. What if I told you that the mirror has been lying to you all your life? That the reflection staring back, the one you've been obsessed with, is only half the story. You see outer beauty, it's fleeting, it fades, it changes, and yet so many of us chase it as if it holds the key to happiness, success, or love. But what if the real power, the real magic, is hidden somewhere far deeper? Let me tell you a story. Two people enter a room. One impeccably dressed, flawless makeup, perfect posture. The other comes in with worn shoes and a tired smile. The first draws your eye. The second touches your heart. Which one do you remember after a week? Which one truly changes the room? That's the secret the world often forgets. True beauty is not what you see, it's what you feel. We live in a world obsessed with filters, hashtags, and flawless photos. But think about it. Can a filter fix cruelty? Can a lens correct arrogance? Can makeup hide selfishness? No. Inner beauty, the kind that lasts, grows silently. It shows in your honesty when it's easier to lie. It shines in your kindness when no one is watching. It blooms in your courage when the world expects you to quit. Remember this, outer looks get attention. Inner character earns respect. Let that sink in. Attention is cheap. Respect is priceless. I want you to meet someone in your mind. A teacher, a friend, a family member. Someone whose smile could light up a room, not because of their appearance, but because of the way they make you feel. That's the kind of beauty that doesn't age. That's the kind of beauty that lasts. That's the kind of beauty that changes lives. Here's a little secret. People can be dazzling on the outside and empty on the inside, but no charm can hide a rotten heart forever. On the other hand, a single act of genuine compassion can make someone unforgettable, even if they don't have the perfect look. Think about it. Who inspires you more, the model on a magazine cover or the mentor who stayed up all night to help you when you fail? We often fool ourselves, chasing superficial admiration, thinking it defines our worth. But here's the twist. Outer beauty may get you in the door, but character keeps you in the room. Success, love, friendship, trust. None of these will stick to a hollow soul. So what can we do? We begin small. A kind word to someone overlooked, a promise kept when no one is watching, courage spoken in a moment of fear. Every tiny act of integrity, every bit of empathy, every moment we choose honesty over convenience. That is the invisible light that will make you shine brighter than any makeup, any designer outfit, or any perfect photo ever could. Look around you. Look at the people you admire, the ones you respect, the ones who leave a mark. I guarantee you, it's not the perfection of their faces, it's the depth of their hearts. And here's the most powerful part. You have that power to right now, this instant, right inside you. The choice to nurture inner beauty, to cultivate character, to become unforgettable, that choice is yours. So the next time you look in the mirror, ask yourself, am I growing my heart as much as my hair, my kindness as much as my wardrobe, my courage as much as my contour? Because when the world finally remembers you, it won't remember your eyeliner, it will remember your energy, your integrity, your heart. You are more than a reflection. You are a story, a force, a presence that can move mountains. And when you embrace that truth, you don't just look beautiful, you become unforgettable. Remember this, the world can admire anyone, but it will only truly love the ones who shine from within. And today, you have the chance to be one of them. And if you take anything from this, take this. Outer beauty opens eyes. Inner beauty opens hearts. Make yours unforgettable. True beauty is measured by character, not appearance. Outer looks are temporary, inner qualities last a lifetime. Respect and admiration come from integrity, kindness and empathy, not perfection. Small acts of honesty, courage, and compassion build lasting inner beauty. The world remembers energy and heart far more than physical features. Cultivating inner beauty gives you influence, love, and impact beyond what looks alone can achieve. Have you ever noticed how quickly we judge someone the moment they enter a room? A glance, a first impression, a fleeting thought. And just like that, we think we know them. We see the polished shoes, the perfect hairstyle, the flawless smile, and we whisper to ourselves, they must have it all together. But what happens when that same person opens their mouth? What happens when we hear the way they speak, the way they treat a stranger, the way they respond to a small inconvenience? Suddenly, the image we painted in our minds begins to crack, and we start to realize that the mirror had lied. True beauty is not in what the eyes can see, it is in what the heart can feel. Let me take you back to a story I once heard about a man named Karim. Karim worked in a busy office in a city where appearances ruled the world. Every day he watched as colleagues flaunted designer suits, the latest gadgets, and perfect smiles. They were admired, envied, and even promoted faster. But Karim was different. He wore simple clothes. His shoes had seen better days. His tie was often slightly crooked. On paper, he didn't fit the mold of what people call successful or attractive. And yet, there was something magnetic about him. People would confide in him. They trusted him with their secrets. They noticed the way he genuinely celebrated others' victories and never envied their success. One day, a new executive joined the company. She was the picture of perfection, tall, impeccably dressed, flawless in every way. She walked into the office and heads turned. Everyone admired her. And then, within weeks, whispers began. Her brilliance was undeniable, but so was her arrogance. She belittled others in meetings, claimed credit for ideas she didn't conceive, and smiled only when it served her advantage. People noticed, but admiration faded fast. Meanwhile, Karim quietly solved problems, helped co-workers without seeking recognition, and treated everyone with unwavering respect. And slowly, over months, the room that once turned for glamour now gravitated toward character. Think about this for a moment. Why did the world remember Karim long after they forgot the executive's perfection? Because beauty that lives in a mirror is temporary. It can catch the eye, but it cannot hold attention. It cannot build trust. It cannot inspire loyalty. True beauty breathes through action, through the choices we make when no one is watching, through the integrity that refuses to bend even when it would be convenient. There is a quote from Maya Angelou that says, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." That is the essence of real beauty. Think of someone in your life who has left a lasting mark. Were they flawless in appearance? Or was it the warmth of their presence, the strength of their character, the kindness that radiated even in the smallest gestures? We remember the laughter they shared, the empathy they offered, the courage they displayed in moments of uncertainty. That is beauty that lasts longer than wrinkles, longer than trends, longer than the fleeting approval of strangers. Imagine a crowded street where everyone is moving fast, absorbed in their phones, their thoughts, their schedules. A stranger drops their wallet, and a passerby notices. Some walk on, avoiding involvement. But one person stops, bends down, returns the wallet, smiles, and wishes the stranger well. That small act, almost invisible in the chaos of the city, is far more beautiful than the perfectly styled outfits surrounding it. Character has a weight, a gravity, a light that shines quietly but powerfully. It pulls people in, not because it is loud, but because it is true. And here is the thing, outer beauty can open doors, yes, but it is character that keeps you in the room. It is character that leaves people inspired, touched, and transformed. When the applause fades, the selfies are deleted, the magazine covers tossed aside, only character remains. Only the choices we make, the lives we touch, the love we give are remembered. Karim didn't have the flashy look, but he had the kind of beauty that echoes. He had the kind of beauty that whispers in the hearts of those he encountered, saying, "Here is someone who matters. Here is someone who sees you. Here is someone who is real." And in that realization, we begin to see the truth. The world's obsession with appearances is a distraction, a mirage. True beauty is found in courage, when fear knocks, in honesty when lies tempt, in kindness when apathy calls. It is measured not in Instagram likes or magazine covers, but in the invisible threads of influence, trust, and respect that we weave through our lives every single day. Have you ever watched a photograph of yourself from 10 years ago and felt a strange mix of nostalgia and disbelief? You may have thought you looked unstoppable, flawless, invincible. But now, looking back, you notice the imperfections you once ignored and the features that have changed over time. Our outer appearance is a story written in fleeting moments. Hair grows, skin wrinkles, energy fades. What seemed permanent at the time was, in truth, always temporary. And yet, most of us live as though our reflection in the mirror is our ultimate identity, as if the surface alone defines our worth. I want to tell you about a woman named Aisha. Aisha was stunning, her beauty commanding attention wherever she went. She walked into a room and people turned, drawn like moths to a flame. But Aisha, in her youth, relied solely on that attention. She believed the applause, the compliments, the glances from strangers were proof that she mattered. And for a while, it worked. Doors opened, invitations came, admiration flowed. But the years rolled on. The looks faded, the admiration dulled. And Aisha realized something terrifying. Without inner strength, without depth, without qualities that endure, the very thing she had relied on for validation disappeared like smoke in the wind. Contrast this with someone like Omar. Omar was unassuming, not particularly handsome by conventional standards. In fact, he often blended into a crowd, unnoticed at first glance. But what he carried inside, compassion, humor, wisdom, reliability, was impossible to ignore once discovered. People remembered the way he listened when they spoke, the way he held a door open for a stranger, the way he encouraged a friend who had lost hope. Decades later, Omar's face had aged, hair turned silver, shoulders bent with time, yet the people he had touched, the lives he had shaped, remembered him vividly. His beauty had not faded. It had grown, deepened, and multiplied because it was anchored in qualities that outlasted the shallow gaze. Think of a garden. Flowers bloom brightly in spring, vibrant, intoxicating, admired by all. But the petals wilt, the colors fade, the fragrance disappears. The roots, the soil, the unseen life beneath the surface. That is what sustains the garden through seasons, through storms, through droughts. Outer beauty is the petals. Inner qualities are the roots. And while petals may catch the eye for a moment, it is the roots that nourish life, that hold the plant steady, that ensure it survives long after the bloom has passed. There's a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt that captures this perfectly. Beautiful young people are accidents of nature, but beautiful old people are works of art. What she meant was not just physical beauty. It is the kind of beauty that grows from experiences, lessons, empathy, and resilience. Every challenge faced, every kindness extended, every integrity-driven decision adds depth to our character. These qualities age like fine wine. They grow richer, more valuable, more unforgettable with time. Look around you. Who do we celebrate, truly celebrate, decades after their youthful glamour has faded? It is the leaders who inspired courage, the teachers who changed lives, the friends who offered unwavering support, the parents who sacrificed quietly without recognition. Their looks may have altered, but their impact, their essence remains. That is the beauty that does not fade. I want you to imagine a crowded subway station where people hurry past each other, faces weary, eyes distracted. A person drops a wallet and a stranger notices. One person rushes past, preoccupied with selfies, appearances, impressions. Another bends down, returns the wallet, offers a comforting word, a smile, a genuine connection. That single act, invisible in the chaos, is what lingers in memory. It is what shapes the story of a life. Outer appearances were irrelevant in that moment. What lasted was character, integrity, humanity, the kind of beauty that is timeless. And here is the quiet but powerful truth. No amount of makeup, no fashion trend, no social media filter can create lasting impact. Those things may capture attention, but only inner qualities endure. They are not subject to age, fatigue, or circumstance. They are carried within us like treasures, invisible to the world at first, but impossible to ignore once discovered. A smile born of kindness, a word of encouragement spoken in fear, a hand extended in compassion. These are the gifts that outlive youth, outlast perfection, and define true beauty. When we focus on cultivating inner qualities, patience, honesty, empathy, courage, we invest in a beauty that no time can steal. While mirrors may betray us, while society may celebrate the shallow, our inner life becomes a legacy, a story that continues to inspire long after outer appearances have faded. That is why what we nurture within is far more important than what we polish on the outside, because it is timeless, it is transformative, and it is unforgettable. Have you ever noticed how quickly the world showers attention on someone flawless in appearance, but often forgets them the moment their mask slips? Perfection is mesmerizing for a moment, but admiration, the kind that lingers, grows quietly in the soil of integrity, kindness, and empathy. Let me tell you about a young man named Farhan. Farhan was never the most stylish, never the loudest, never the one who turned heads when he walked into a room. People often overlooked him, but Farhan had something the world craved, a heart that genuinely cared. One winter evening, the city streets were slick with ice, the wind biting through every coat. Farhan noticed an elderly woman struggling with her groceries, her hands shaking, her steps uncertain. Without a thought about how he might look, he rushed to help her. He carried her bags, guided her to a safe spot, and even walked her to her door, refusing to accept her small thanks. He didn't do it for recognition, he did it because it was right. Weeks later, those who had witnessed it would recall the scene, not because Farhan was handsome or flawless, but because he had embodied respect, care, and empathy. That act, small in time but enormous in impact, had earned him admiration that perfection alone could never achieve. Consider the leader you admire most. Is it someone who merely looked the part, wore the right suit, and spoke in rehearsed phrases? Or is it someone who has faced failure with courage, who lifts others up when they stumble, who admits mistakes and learns from them? True admiration is never about the surface, it is about the substance beneath. Abraham Lincoln, despite his unremarkable appearance and awkward mannerisms, is remembered not for how he looked, but for his unwavering integrity during the country's most difficult times. Mother Teresa, whose face carried the traces of exhaustion and hardship, earned a place in history because of her relentless empathy, her tireless service, her ability to honor every human life she touched. People may glance at perfection and nod politely, but they kneel, they pause, they remember those who act with heart and honesty. I once met a woman named Layla whose story changed the way I think about admiration. Layla ran a small cafe in a quiet neighborhood. She wasn't glamorous, her apron was often stained, her hair tied back hastily. But every day, she welcomed every customer with warmth, remembered their names, listened to their stories, and offered comfort when life weighed heavily on them. One day, a man entered the cafe visibly distraught, carrying the weight of personal failure. Layla didn't ask for credentials or accomplishments. She didn't judge his appearance or demeanor. She simply listened, served him tea, and let him speak his truth. That man returned, not because of the cafe's decor or the taste of the pastries, but because of the kindness and integrity that Layla radiated. Respect had been earned, not bought, and it was lasting. Think about this. Perfection can be intimidating. It can make others feel small or inadequate. It can even isolate. But integrity opens doors, kindness invites connection, and empathy builds bridges. These qualities don't demand applause. They quietly shape relationships, influence decisions, and leave impressions that last far longer than beauty ever could. A smile born of understanding, a word spoken to lift someone who has stumbled, a hand offered without expectation. These are the markers of admiration that endure. There's a quote by Rumi that says, "Raise your words, not your voice. It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder." Integrity, kindness, and empathy are the rain. Perfection may roar and shine for a fleeting moment, but it is the steady, quiet acts that nourish, sustain, and make someone unforgettable. Imagine a room full of brilliant faces, polished and poised, but lacking heart. Now imagine one person in the same room who stops to help, to listen, to care. Who do you remember? Who do you admire? That single act outweighs 1,000 flawless appearances. Even in the digital world, where filters and curated images dominate, the same truth holds. Social media can showcase perfection, but it cannot manufacture authenticity. It cannot replicate the feeling of being truly seen, truly understood, truly respected. A comment that uplifts, a message that encourages, a gesture of genuine support, these are the digital echoes of integrity, kindness, and empathy. They are timeless, transcending trends, devices, and fleeting attention. Fawn Lila, Mother Teresa Lincoln, they teach us the same lesson. Admiration is not a reflection of how polished someone looks. It is a reflection of how consistently they honor others, how steadfastly they act with integrity, how deeply they connect with empathy. And when we choose to cultivate these qualities in our own lives, we step into a kind of beauty that demands neither mirrors nor applause. It simply exists, quietly powerful, unforgettable, and eternal. Imagine walking through a bustling city street, the air thick with noise, the crowd rushing past without noticing one another. In the chaos, a small moment unfolds. Someone drops a wallet, a child cries for help, a stranger looks lost. Most people keep walking, absorbed in their own world, yet sometimes a single act, almost invisible in the swirl of daily life, becomes a spark that lights a lasting impression, a quiet story of true beauty. This is the essence of inner beauty. It grows from choices that are often unnoticed, uncelebrated, yet infinitely powerful. Let me tell you about a young woman named Sarah. Sarah worked in a corporate office where competition was fierce and every move was scrutinized. One day, she noticed a coworker being unfairly blamed for a mistake she hadn't made. Everyone else stayed silent, fearing the consequences or hoping to protect themselves. But Sarah couldn't. She stepped forward, spoke honestly, and clarified the situation, even though it meant risking criticism from her boss. That small act of courage didn't make headlines, didn't earn applause, but it transformed how people saw her. Trust was built, respect was earned, and the quiet beauty of integrity began to grow in her life. Years later, colleagues still remember Sarah, not for her appearance, not for the hours she logged at work, but for that unwavering commitment to honesty when it mattered most. Courage isn't always about grand gestures. It's often in the tiny decisions that demand vulnerability. Imagine a teenager in school standing up against a group of friends who are mocking someone for being different. The immediate reward might be silence, even ridicule, but the seed of inner beauty is planted in that moment. The courage to act rightly, to speak truth in the face of discomfort, is like water nourishing a hidden garden. It may seem invisible at first, but it grows steadily, unseen, until it becomes impossible to ignore. Compassion works the same way. Picture an elderly man who shuffles down the street, groceries in his arms, the weight of age pressing down on him. Most passers-by are too busy, too absorbed, too preoccupied. But one person notices, smiles, and offers help. That simple gesture, the lifting of a bag, the patient listening, the encouragement, doesn't just make the day easier for the man. It leaves an imprint on everyone around, a story of kindness that spreads quietly yet powerfully. Compassion, even in its smallest forms, is like a secret language of beauty, speaking directly to hearts rather than eyes. There is a saying by Albert Schweitzer: example is not the main thing in influencing others, it is the only thing. Every small act of honesty, every courageous word, every compassionate gesture contributes to the mosaic of inner beauty. Each choice, though tiny, layers upon the last, creating a character that glows from within. Think of it as a lighthouse in a storm. While the storm rages and the waves crash, the light stands steady, guiding, comforting, inspiring. Outer beauty may shimmer briefly like lightning, But inner beauty shines like that enduring beacon, unwavering through life's tempests. I remember hearing about a man named Tariq who lived in a small neighborhood. Tariq wasn't wealthy, nor was he particularly striking in appearance, but he had a habit of noticing the unnoticed. Every morning, he helped sweep the street, picked up litter, checked on the elderly, greeted neighbors warmly. People passing by initially took it for granted, but over time, they began to see a pattern, a consistency, a rare depth of character. The small acts that seemed ordinary became extraordinary because they were habitual, sincere, and repeated without expectation. Tariq's beauty didn't come from the mirror, from style, or from charm. It came from an accumulation of small, meaningful acts that touch lives quietly, yet profoundly. Inner beauty is cumulative. Each choice, each gesture, each act of honesty, courage, or compassion may seem insignificant in isolation, but together they weave a tapestry that defines who we truly are. When we prioritize these moments, we create a kind of magnetism that no mirror can reflect, no fashion trend can mimic, no superficial admiration can replace. It's the beauty that endures, the kind that people carry with them long after faces have changed, voices have faded, and time has moved on. So the next time life presents a small opportunity, a word of truth, an act of kindness, a moment of courage, remember that it is in these seemingly tiny choices that lasting beauty is forged. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't beg for recognition, but it builds a resonance, a depth, a glow that cannot be replicated. And slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, these small acts shape us into people who leave impressions that endure far beyond what the eye can see. Have you ever wondered why some people leave a mark on your life that you cannot explain? You might not remember exactly how they looked, what they wore, or even what they said word for word, but you remember the way they made you feel. The warmth of their presence, the quiet strength in their actions, the way they inspired you to be better simply by being themselves. That is the power of inner beauty. It is influence that no mirror can capture, love that no photograph can convey, and impact that endures far beyond fleeting appearances. Let me tell you about a man named Imran. Imran worked in a neighborhood where competition for attention was fierce, and appearances often dictated who got respect. People who dressed well, spoke eloquently, and maintained a polished image were noticed first. But Imran had little interest in outer perfection. His clothes were simple, his hair often messy, and his demeanor calm rather than commanding. Yet, over time, he became the person everyone turned to, not because of charm or style, but because of the character he consistently displayed. He listened deeply, offered guidance without judgment, and acted with unwavering honesty. People sought him out not to admire his looks, but to be inspired by his presence. One day, a young woman approached Imran, tears in her eyes, frustrated and confused about the choices she was facing in her life. She admitted she had been chasing approval through appearances, trying to fit into molds she didn't belong to, and it left her feeling empty. Imran didn't lecture her. He simply shared his own struggles, the times he had failed, the times he had acted out of fear instead of courage, and how he had gradually learned that what mattered most was cultivating integrity, empathy, and kindness. By the end of their conversation, she was not just reassured, she was transformed. She realized that influence does not come from looking perfect or impressing the world, but from being genuine, consistent, and grounded in inner values. There is a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson that resonates here: "What you do speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say." Influence is born from action, from authenticity, from the way inner beauty manifests in everyday choices. Consider teachers who have changed your life, mentors who shaped your decisions, friends who supported you when no one else would. Rarely were they flawless in appearance, but they had a depth that commanded attention, a presence that drew respect, a heart that offered trust. Their impact lingers not because of what they looked like, but because of how they embodied the qualities that truly matter. Think about a community leader who dedicates years to helping others quietly, without seeking fame or accolades. Their influence is invisible at first, like roots growing beneath the soil, but eventually it becomes unstoppable. People follow not because they are dazzled by appearances, but because they see the integrity, compassion, and courage that guide every decision. Love follows naturally. Trust grows organically. Impact expands exponentially. This is the force of inner beauty. It multiplies silently, leaving a legacy that outer perfection could never achieve. I once met a woman named Nadia who ran a small clinic in a struggling part of the city. Her office was modest, her attire simple, yet people came from miles away not because of aesthetics, but because of her dedication, empathy, and unwavering commitment to their well-being. Patients remembered her years later, not for her smile or hairstyle, but for the patience she showed, the careful guidance she offered, and the dignity she restored to those who had been forgotten. Her influence extended beyond her clinic, shaping the health, confidence, and lives of an entire community. Inner beauty had made her unforgettable. This principle applies to every corner of life. In families, in workplaces, in friendships. Those who cultivate inner beauty create ripples that cannot be ignored. A single act of integrity can inspire a generation. A word of encouragement can ignite someone's potential. A moment of genuine empathy can transform a relationship forever. Outer beauty might open doors briefly, but inner beauty builds bridges that last a lifetime. And here is the most powerful part. Cultivating inner beauty is entirely within your control. It doesn't depend on genetics, trends, or wealth. It depends on your choices, your consistency, your willingness to act with courage, honesty, kindness, and empathy every single day. It is the quiet work of building character, the deliberate nurturing of qualities that leave a mark long after youth fades and appearances change. The influence you wield, the love you give, the impact you leave, all of it begins with the decision to prioritize inner beauty over fleeting perfection. When you choose this path, you become more than someone who is admired. You become someone who is remembered, someone who inspires, someone whose presence changes lives. Outer beauty may attract eyes, but inner beauty captures hearts, shapes minds, and leaves a legacy. That is the true power. The kind that no mirror can reflect, but every soul can feel. The kind that endures beyond time, beyond trends, beyond fleeting attention. So here is the truth you need to carry with you, not just today, but every single day. Outer beauty can catch attention, but inner beauty changes lives. Outer beauty can turn heads, but inner beauty turns hearts. Outer beauty may fade, but inner beauty lasts forever. Ask yourself, what kind of beauty am I building today? Are you polishing a reflection, or are you cultivating a soul? Are you chasing approval, or are you earning respect? Are you decorating a surface, or are you nurturing a legacy? Because the choice you make right now, in this moment, is the choice that will echo long after mirrors have forgotten you. Start small. Be honest when it's hard. Be kind when it's inconvenient. Show courage when fear whispers. Stop. Every tiny act, every decision to live with integrity, every moment you choose empathy over indifference, it adds up. It compounds, it transforms you into someone unforgettable, someone magnetic, someone who leaves a mark on the world that no one can erase. The world may praise beauty that fades, but history remembers those whose character shone. The world may applaud appearances, but hearts remember those whose actions spoke louder than perfection ever could. And you have that power inside you. You have that light. You have that chance to be extraordinary. Do not wait. Do not postpone. Do not fool yourself into thinking the mirror defines you. Step into your life. Step into your courage. Step into your kindness. Step into your truth. Because the world is waiting for what only you can give. And when you do, everything changes. Remember this: outer beauty opens eyes, but inner beauty opens hearts. Outer beauty draws attention, but inner beauty creates influence. Outer beauty fades, but inner beauty lasts forever. And when you embrace it, when you truly embrace it, you become unforgettable.